just once, but also back up here almost 2 times where we're seeing, again, heavy traffic during that evening commute. So again, Martin, if you want to go ahead and get a good look at what's going on velocity, but also how long this warning is going to be in effect. And right now I'm going to put a track on here. So this is moving to the north and to the northeast. Overall, expecting it to be relatively short-lived, but there is, again, enough evidence that we could be seeing a tornado on the ground. In the next 29 minutes into Michigan City. The other thing, Martin, that I need you to do, I need you to keep an eye up on that Michigan City cam, because what I'm seeing right now is clearing, that we've cleared it out. Thank you. So there's a look at what we have. We got a Michigan City cam where the tornado warning has been issued. If you want to zoom around, Martin, and get a better idea of kind of what we are seeing, based on what I was seeing with the radar, this is going to be more to the right of that camera, or more to the north and to the northeast. So I want to keep this up here. You got Michigan City, Michiana Shores in the next hour or so. Based on what I'm seeing in the radar, there is a lot of lightning, there's a lot of rain in this system, which means it is obviously going to be rain wrapped, and it's not one of those situations where we can go out and see a tornado. But we have a camera, a live camera in Michigan City. If you want to flip back over to that live camera, if we're going to see any kind of a tornado or lowering, there it is on your screen right there, off in the distance, a lowering. My guess is that is the rotation that we are concerned about regarding this tornado warning that is on your screen. So one of the things we do here in the First Alert Weather Center is make sure that we're using all the tools at our disposal to keep an eye on the threat. So Martin, if you want to go ahead and check out the velocity, leave that there, and give me some velocity data, if you would mind, regarding the circulation. So again, there's a look at the radar. And they're going to be using Max 2 on that one, Martin. And again, this is all going to be moving up to the north and to the northeast. So they zoom in a little bit closer. That circulation that you just saw, that lowering, my guess is it's just offshore, just off of Michigan City, moving to the north and to the northeast. Tornado warning is going to be in effect for another 20 minutes. And this is radar indicated. So yeah, okay, actually that couplet, as I pop back up, is back down here towards the east and to the south, which means since this is delayed, what you just saw on your live screen, live cam with that Michigan City cam, that was the lowering that we had on our live cam. Let's go back over to the live cam and keep an eye on that. This is one of those rare situations of right in front of your screen is the tornado warned part of the storm. Thankfully, that is out over Lake Michigan. One of the ways that you do, that we track here in the First Alert Weather Center is using, thank you, now we're up here, using all of these components. I'm sitting here on this image because it's out over Lake Michigan, but there's no doubt in my mind, based on the velocity data you saw there, the delay that we have with the radar, that is your circulation. This is that rotation. What do you see, Martin? Is your mic open? Your mic?
Pointing out the exact same thing you're looking at. You can see it's starting to try. It might be a little bit of a scud there, but you're pointing at, but it looks like it's trying to reach down a little bit. We could end up having this over the lake. Yep. To bring itself down just a little bit. You've been pointing it out, there's that lowering right there, but right. The circulation, camera, all this matches up perfectly.
Exactly. And with Doppler radar, with this product, remember that we have to wait 2 or 3 minutes, meaning this, as live as it could be, it is still about 2 to 3 minutes, which means by the time we look at that live cam there, it is down through Lake Michigan. So again, if you're going to have a tornado warning, this is kind of the best case scenario. It's not that we're sitting here looking at radar. You are looking at the tornado warning, and you're not going to get this preparedness very often, where we can actually use our cameras to say, there's a tornado warning. We're going to continue to track this moving off to the east, and the camera that we have in place, we can move that a little bit to the right and follow this along. Let's go back over. I believe you got, what is that, Max 2? If you want to go ahead and pull up Max 2. The other source, the cities, very important at this point. A tornado warning, again, issued into 4:45. You're on Max 1? What are you on?
Max? Right, this one's on 2. The other, I have the track on Max 1.
You have a track on Max 1. Let's get over to Max 1. That's going to be Wheezy 1, so we can get an idea exactly where this is tracking and those that need to prepare. Now, Long Beach, the Michiana Shores, the Grand Beach, they've just extended the tornado warning deep into parts of Berrien, and I've think eventually Cass County as this moves up to the north and to the northeast. So zoom this back out and get the latest track on there, Martin, if you can, and we can flip back over to our live cam. So let's go over to the live cam and show you kind of what we're seeing. So again, a unique opportunity in that the tornado warning that you're seeing on your screen is also on our screen, and you're looking at it right there. So that velocity data is doing what it needs to do, but we're also keeping an eye. Let me move this over to the right. So I'm actually moving that camera, pointing it exactly where that rotation is located. Okay, Martin, over on Max 1, Wheezy
I'll get the track up in just a second.
If you want to go ahead and throw the track up on there.
Did you happen to see the speed that this system was moving in just real quick?
Yeah. So what we have with this is that obviously you got Lake Michigan kind of cuts back up here towards the north, and topography is going to pull this couplet, this circulation, while it's over land or water right now, is most likely going to come back over land, which you can kind of see off in the distance there. That's why that tornado warning, it was a sliver, has been extended deeper into portions of Michigan. So this is getting moving to the northeast, and that is your couplet right there. It's not very often.
You have your track up on Wheezy 1 now.
Say it again?
You have your track up on Wheezy 1 now.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, so 4:30, your city is on the list. Go ahead and get into your safe place. This is the same cell that we were looking at when we first started at 4:05 or so. I said we're keeping a close eye on this one because of the way the atmosphere is interacting with it, anticipating a little bit more rotation with this storm, and that is what we got. So again, we're keeping an eye on this. This is moving to the north and to the northeast. New Buffalo, 10 minutes. Three Oaks, 18 minutes. This is radar indicated tornado. Martin.
They also just bumped up with the latest warning that went into Berrien and LaPorte County. This is not a confirmation of said hail size, but this does say the tag on the actual tornado warning says the possibility of up to 2-inch hail.
Okay.
And I believe that is close to baseball-sized hail. So definitely could also see not just a tornado with this, but also some very large hail.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is we're going to focus on the tornado warning. Your hail core is going to be out ahead of the warning. So with that tracker, let's go back over to our other radar source, get those cities back on here. So New Buffalo in 9 minutes, shave about 5 minutes off of that. That's when the hail will come. Start with the hail, and then the tornado part of the system, if it is on the ground, if there is one on the ground, that is going to come next. Three Oaks, 17 minutes, and then down here towards Benton Harbor, about 46 minutes, as this is going to kind of follow back up here to the north and to the northeast. Bart, what do you got?
We actually just had confirmation of hail 1 minute ago in Michigan City. Just wanted to let you know they actually have viewers sending in reports and photos of it as well.
We don't have a size, but I can only imagine when Josh looked up and saw what he saw on the Michigan City cam, that was not just rain, that was rain and hail, which again, first alerted us to this circulation. So let me go ahead and show you exactly what we're seeing with our eyes. That's a lowering, and Martin, you've done this long enough to know that when it comes to velocity data and what we're seeing, that is the lowering here. If we keep going to the right, with this, you'll start to see not only the rain, but the hail core as well. That is going to be out ahead of this main system, out ahead of that main circulation. So you're kind of starting to see it back over here towards the right with another, it looks like a little bit of lowering in here as well. So again, that's our live cam. There's no better way to get the latest data and the latest way for you to prepare than actually being able to see the tornado warned storm on one of our first alert weather cameras. Let's go back over to Wheezy 1. I want to keep the cities on the screen. So New Buffalo, 8 minutes. Three Oaks, 15 minutes. Time now about 4:33. And that's also going to be at Ridgemont in about 27 minutes, a little bit farther down the line of the grand scale. And when we look at the entire thing as a whole, doesn't quite get into Berrien and Cass County, but doesn't quite get into Cass County, but we are right on the edge in regards to that tornado warned storm that's moving to the north and to the northeast. Really quickly, Martin, if you can, move this map down to the south, because while we have that tornado warned storm here, there is another stronger storm. I shouldn't say stronger, but there's another strong storm approaching parts of South Bend, parts of Granger, Elkhart, Osceola, Lakeville. This is all going to be moving to the north and to the northeast as well. And you put the lightning back up on here. Let me go ahead and put this into motion. You see how it's moving to the north, but then you also get kind of this little bit of a push back here to the north. That's that broad spin that I was concerned about that really started to tighten up back towards Lake Michigan. And based on what we were seeing in the data, velocity data, that tornado warned storm, this is all moving to the north and to the northeast. I can only imagine if we go ahead and take a look at, well, we have the, can we go to the live cam? Yeah, let's go to the live cam and get a view of exactly what we were seeing. Clearing out here towards the east, you got the rain, and then also you see how it's kind of white right here? So that is going to be your hail core, at least based on what I'm kind of seeing on the radar, as well as what's on the screen. So you got the rain, the clearing, and then the hail. If you come a little bit closer, kind of see right in here, potentially something that's scud out ahead of it. So it's tough to see, but there's no doubt that we have not only some rain and you got that rain shield, but also some hail embedded in there as well. So let's go ahead and zoom this camera all the way back out, get that wider picture. I feel like my eyes are playing tricks on me with some of these shadows that we're seeing. But a little bit wider perspective as we go. Take a look. This is our Michigan City cam. And the tornado warning is for Michigan City, moving to the north and to the northeast. Let's go back to Wheezy 1 and give you the wider perspective. There we go. Excellent. Good. So again, and Martin, if you want to go ahead and chime in, the details on this tornado warning, just to revisit. I think National Weather Service just updated the latest warning, if you want to go over some of those details. Yeah,
so actually they just now canceled out parts of LaPorte County. The original tornado warning has now been canceled, but they still have the additional one that they did added that is significantly larger that we were showing earlier. And as of right now, the latest reports from this one that does include Berrien and LaPorte counties, they right now still watching for the possibility of this tornado. We've obviously been seeing the live camera that we have. We're looking at that rotation in this storm still mostly over the lake, but it doesn't mean it can't try to make its way back onto land where it could possibly invigorate itself as a tornado, but also the possibility of hail is still with it as well. So it's something you really want to be paying close attention to. Don't forget that even if you're not inside that direct path of the tornado, this entire cell could still bring some heavy rain, and of course that hail possibility is going to be there. Some possibilities of up to 2-inch hail. That's close to a baseball sized hail. That is hail that can easily damage houses, roofs, cars, and yourself as well. So make sure to get inside if you are in this path to be extra careful. You can see behind me, there's that lowering right there. This is that lowering if there would be a tornado here, which we can't confirm anything right now. If there would be, it would be right around this area, right where the actual clouds are the lowest. You can see that wall, we call that the wall cloud, moving through across with this next system. So things are starting to shape out as we go to the next several minutes. We can see that we still have this for Berrien and LaPorte counties as of right now, but keeping a close eye on it as we send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht. He's going to have the latest for you. He's got showing the velocity with this system right now.
Yeah, and typically I wouldn't show velocity unless I had some good news to share with you. Otherwise, we'd get right back to the storm track. But based on what I'm seeing with the live cam combined with the trend with the velocity data, remember earlier we had a tight couplet. We had that rotation, that lowering over Lake Michigan. Since then, it looks like we got two different kind of boundaries that have come together, and I wouldn't say it's washed out, but the couplet isn't nearly as defined now as what it was. And you're probably yelling at your TV why they keep droning on about the couplet. Well, that is the start of a tornado, and that is what you warned. So that is what we were looking for. Now, that being said, come back over to Wheezy 1, and I just want to make sure that we do have a track on this so we can stay prepared if this gets back together, if this reorganizes and we start to see, and there's a lot of lightning strikes within this cell, that you have a chance to prepare. Because one thing that saved lives yesterday in Oklahoma was the ability to prepare, to be first alerted to get into a basement or a safe place if your city is on this list. So 3 minutes, New Buffalo, we've been with you for about 15 minutes. New Buffalo, we got to get into a safe place. 3 Oaks, next 12 minutes. And the other part of this, Berrien Springs, about 34 minutes, is that initially all of this out ahead of the main circulation. Frequent lightning strikes, strong gusty winds, hail, as Martin has already confirmed that there has been hail within this system, as well as heavy rainfall. Yeah, Mark.
So latest thing just came in with the National Weather Service, actually just now checking it out. If you can pull up Wheezy 2 real quick, just so we can show just the warning itself. LaPorte County, you're now out of it. You're not going to be seeing this tornado warning anymore. You can just, make sure to stay extra safe as of right now, but come out of your safe space for right now. Most of the system, the cell itself, has moved its way past, but still looking at Berrien County in that tornado warning. They have dropped off the hail, like Matt was talking about earlier. The couplet has lost a little bit of its intensity and the winds have fallen down. The cell sort of weakening just a little bit. We're not calling off anything yet, but the cell is slowly weakening. That couplet that Matt was talking about is starting to weaken. The hail has dropped down just a little bit. They've now changed the 2-inch tag to 1.5-inch tag. That's still about hen egg sized hailstones, which still can do damage. You can do damage up to around only 1 inch. So we're still sitting a little bit higher than that 1-inch severe criteria. But as of right now, LaPorte County has been taken out of the tornado warning. Berrien County, you're still in it. You could possibly see this continuing into Cass, and Matt's watching over it right now, talking about that track. So what do you have on the latest?
Yeah, I was just going over because, again, we have a live cam in Michigan City. We started this tornado warning off looking at this live cam and seeing the warned cell, the warned portion. So I want to revisit a couple of things that while Martin was going over some very important information, I was got just a half second to kind of analyze what we're seeing here. And the reason why I want to analyze this, because it tells us if there is a tornado on the ground or not. And what we are seeing on this, that based on, in terms of just tornado warnings and cells and supercells, all that fancy term, you got the clearing back here to the right. This, if we were to see a tornado, or based on this tornado warning, that is the area that we would be looking for a tornado. And as I mentioned, got a half second to kind of analyze what was going on, and I do not see a tornado here. That does not mean that there isn't one on the ground. Based on velocity data, based on actual visual evidence, the likelihood of a tornado being on the ground is lower than if we didn't have our first alert weather camera in Michigan City. You come back here towards what would be a little bit to the north, or we'll just say to the left. That's your hail, that's your rain, and your clearings back out here to the east. What we would be looking for is for some tightening in the blank area that would indicate, again, the lowering. But you start to see there's not much there. Martin, you got meteorologist eyes as well. What are you seeing with this?
Well, you can obviously still see that supercell itself, but there is none of that, what we've been talking about, that lowering going all the way down to the ground. Again, we're still seeing plenty of the rainfall coming in Michigan City, but still not seeing any of that as of right now. And I did get his little zoom in earlier, couldn't see anything indicative of that tornado warning. And I actually also checked our debris tracker, nothing really being shown on that either, which is all good news that we're not really seeing a tornado on the ground at this point in time, but still sitting underneath this severe alert, your first alert weather day, and that tornado warning currently still sitting in Berrien County. Again, LaPorte County, you're not in it anymore. I know you were under that just a few minutes ago, but not anymore. And the hail has fallen off just a little bit. So luckily things are appearing to somewhat get a little better, but you're still sitting underneath that tornado warning with parts of Berrien County. I'm actually going to change this over just to your satellites where you can actually see what's going on your radar with that tornado warning. So taking off the tornado warning really quick, but you can still see that cell. Plenty of lightning with this system right now. It's going to be making its way closer to Berrien Springs. So again, if you're in that, if you actually pull up Wheezy 1 on this really quickly, just so we can actually pull up that track. But again, there's that tornado warning right there, the track moving through, going into Berrien Springs pretty soon. So if your city is on this list right here, make sure you get into that safe area, even if you have 30, 40 minutes. Just be extra careful. Make sure to be in that safe space. Have that plan. If you're in this next go, you should be seeing that in Berrien Springs in about 50 or 60 minutes or so. So we're going to take it back to Matt Engelbrecht. He's got the latest on what we've been talking about with this system. Of course, talking more about that current cell. And of course, we're also watching another one closer to South Bend that could end up being a little bit on the stronger side. We've been seeing a lot of lightning with that one right now too. Right, Matt?
Yeah. First alerted you to the potential for some strong, severe thunderstorms moving through for the evening commute. Check out the radar behind me. It's not just that tornado warned storm in Michigan City. And Martin, if you can, kind of go through some of the reports. If we did get anything touched down, we didn't see anything, but that does not mean it didn't happen. But confidence is pretty high that we didn't see much touchdown. And we're not done with the tornado warning either. But I want to show you this system as a whole. You got that tornado warned cell moving up through Berrien County. And then also, if you're at home and you're not under the tornado warning, you may have started to hear thunder, may have started to see lightning, even some heavier downpours, thinking, well, where is that? Well, we're South Bend, Plymouth, into parts of Elkhart, Osceola. We're going to start to see this rain really increase in intensity, but also to go along with that, there has been a number of lightning strikes as well. This is going to drift more to the north and a little bit to the east as we go through the next couple of hours. So what you're hearing, if you're outside the tornado warning, is either the cell that is over Lake Michigan or working near Lake Michigan. There's another one back towards South Bend and Plymouth, and then also back out here towards the west. This is the main cold front. We get on the other side of it, and we're done with the severe weather. So let me go back and I just want to go ahead and double check that velocity data. So right in here is where we got that tornado warning that is being issued, and we got that live cam still right on it. Say it again. Okay, in St. Joe, Michigan, so we're looking out over the lake, and it looked like we had possibility of some hail trying to bounce at the bottom part of your screen. I'd anticipate this with how the cells have been extended to the north. Yeah, that's got to be hail that's bouncing off of our camera there. So again, there's hail with this kind of image. Let's go back over to our Wheezy 1 and show you again where that velocity data is indicating. Okay, go ahead and reset that, and we'll be good right here. So where the green matches the red, obviously that is where that tornado, and there we go. You see something like this, and it is concerning. Martin, get your eyes on here as well. Velocity data showing that starting to tighten up a little bit more with this cell. It was broad, but now it's coming back together. I want to make sure that we get the cities back on here as well and update this to the latest track. So give me a second, I'll clean this up.
Hey Matt,
Yeah, please.
Have you heard anything out of New Buffalo?
Yes. We've already had 2 reports. Let me actually pull them up really quickly. We've had 2 reports so far of hail, not of tornadoes, but of hail as of right now. We had one that is a trained spotter that was in Michiana Shores over toward LaPorte County, and then there's another one that just came in of 1-inch hail in New Buffalo, which we're currently seeing the hail bouncing off our camera right now. So we'll take it back to Matt really quick.
Yeah, so what Josh is looking for is whether or not we've had any tornadoes confirmed. We have not.
No.
Okay.
And nothing has been
Some comments still, but nothing confirmed yet.
correct.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the one thing I'll say about this is that we have the ability that if the National Weather Service, who they issue the tornado warnings, if it goes to a confirmation, you'll see this box change color and it will light up, and that will indicate that to us that there's something a little bit more significant in actual data and observation that there's a tornado on the ground. So yeah, the reports that we have had, not to be confused with tornadoes, the reports we have had are all having to do with hail. The kind of system that we saw would support inch size, possibly 1.5 inch size hail, and all the way back up here towards the north, that is where we're starting to see some of that smaller hail as well. So here's a look at it. So again, that velocity data showing that there is still a decent couplet. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets extended back up here to the north and to the northeast. 3 Oaks, I got 3 minutes. Berrien Springs, it's never too early to prepare. If that says 55 and you think this is never going to get to me, take 10 minutes. Ask yourself, where's the safest place in your house? It is going to be inside as many walls between you and the outside. If you have access to a basement, that is your safe place. And as I've seen over and over, just last night, helmets will save lives. The one thing that in terms of injuries and even deaths when it comes to tornado, it's not the actual wind, it's the debris in and around these tornadoes. And to protect yourself from debris, it's not a bad idea to have a helmet, to have a pillow, to have something to protect your head if you're under a tornado warning. And again, 54 minutes, Berrien Springs sounds like a lot of time, but take 10 minutes and think about this now before I'm standing here and I have to say 2 minutes for Berrien Springs. We can all be safe and prepared. So this is, once again, looking out, this is the St. Joe camera, if I'm not mistaken, and we're looking, looks more out towards the southeast.
Camera's unfortunately blocked to the south, so we can't see perfectly, but this is the closest we can get to where that couplet is pointed dead.
Okay. Yep. All right, let's go back to Wheezy 1. I know you're showing those cameras if all we're seeing is rain. Make sure that there's something useful there if we do in fact use it. Starting to see the lightning strikes spread out within this tornado warning, but also carry this all the way back up here to the north and to the northeast. The cell continues to stay pretty strong up here to the north. You can see lightning strike right there, and it's not completely unheard of to get couple of different updrafts going, and lightning strikes, whenever they kind of get right around the same area, more centralized, that is an indication of the charges separating and an updraft starting to dominate within a line. So what I'm seeing here is you got one decent strong updraft. That's where we're getting that hail from, but also the one where we had that live cam showing some of the hail, another one right up here to the north. So two dominant updrafts or centralized storms starting to take shape. The yellow box you see here, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So already kind of priming back up here to the north. Now that's 94, I-94 right here for the potential for a strong, if not severe thunderstorm warning right now, potentially extending this tornado warning out. And Martin, I'm going to ask you again regarding the velocity data. What are you seeing with the last couple of sweeps?
Well, as of right now, we're actually just had it pulled up, and I was going to have Matt talk about it, but I'll talk about it here. Talking, of course, more closely with this next, the cell we've been seeing. Plenty of this lightning. I'll actually take this off because it is plenty of lightning to be seen there, so I do want to at least try to remove that so we can actually get a better view. But you can see this couplet right here. That's what we've been watching right there, just near Three Oaks. It has made its way past, so you're past the main threat, but you're still probably seeing some of that hail and wind. But so stay down for just a little bit. You'll be safe for at least the next couple of minutes if you stay in that safe area. But here's still that tornado warning going until 5:15. So about the next 25 minutes, they'll be seeing this system. So it's making its way closer toward Buchanan, Berrien Springs. But there's that couplet, the latest sweep moving through as of right now. They have dropped off the hail a little bit more, but still, 1.25 inch hail is still very dangerous. We actually just had a picture Josh showed me earlier of pretty sizable hail, closer to almost golf ball, if not a little bit bigger. So make sure to be extra careful if you still are out right now, which you should absolutely not be at this point in time, but you should be staying in that safe space. So make sure to stay from those windows. Find that safe area for right now.
Michigan
you
City?
Can still see where this green and red, so this is going towards our radar, this is going away. That's that couplet that we're watching. So it's still a little bit what we call linear. You can still see where that line is if you want to actually see almost a point where that couplet would be if you want to see that tornado. So as of this moment, we're still not saying anything as of right now when it comes to that tornado. Actually, we'll take a quick look at the debris tracker.
The sweep just came in behind you there.
Oh, new one just came in. Yeah, so it's
it's
very broad, very linear. The purple is a little bit of clutter, but you can still see where that rotation is, but it's a very broad rotation, not really indicative of a tornado on the ground. So not really going to look at the debris as of this point in time, but still continuing that tornado warning. What do you have latest on the track, Matt?
Yeah, going over kind of where we stand. I want to zoom this out and show you the warnings that are currently active, but also, as Josh just pointed out, one of the images that he was sent, I would say that's easily an inch and a half. Again, it was a picture of two hailstones in a hand. If you don't know how big the hand is, tough to tell how big those hailstones are. But what I wanted to put up here, you got the tornado warning, and we'll look at that track in just a half second. Look at the history of this cell. When we started at 4 o'clock and I said, I'm concerned about this cell right here, that's why. It was producing hail very early on. This is a wind report. You see the little house with the trees, a wind report. And then into LaPorte, we got the hail. And then, of course, we started to pick it up with our first alert weather cam in Michigan City to actually see that circulation. So again, those are actual storm reports coming in. If I zoom this out a little bit more, you can see the strength of the storm, not only the one we're tracking here, but also what came through the parts of south of Chicago. You know, you've seen a lot of hail reports here and back up into Milwaukee. So what this says, individual thunderstorms, as I put the track back up, the individual thunderstorms that we're picking out based on what we're seeing in the radar trends are capable of, the tornado warning, but also hail, damaging hail. You hit that 1 inch mark. The reason why we go to a severe thunderstorm warning at 1 inch, anything bigger than that, we're talking dents and the potential for injuries if you get hit by an inch-size hailstone coming down from the sky. I want to remind you, say this out loud, if you can't see us, if you're away or you put your phone down to get in your safe place, I want to make sure that we say some of these cities. You got Three Oaks in 3 minutes, snow in about 35 minutes. Berrien Springs, we're still on the list. at 54 minutes. So that would take us to about 5:30 or so, maybe a little bit earlier than that, as we are kind of right on the edge here in Berrien Springs. The other big concern that I've had is not necessarily those that are in their safe place or those that have access to this information. It's our evening commuters that find themselves out on the road. This cell has crossed, as we were talking about, I-94 a couple of times. Now, even if it weakens, this is going to continue to work to the north and to the northeast, and once again intercept parts of I-94, but also some of these other roadways that could have evening commuters on them, which presents, again, a very dangerous situation, both with the amount of lightning, inch-size hail coming down while you're driving 60 to 65 miles per hour. That's easily a cracked windshield in these kind of environments. Now, I want to take one last thing before I send it back over to Martin. What I am seeing, you got the tornado warning, you got the track and the city's left side of your screen. But look at how most of the lightning activity is centralized right up here towards the north. What you're going to get is a lot of hail right around where the lightning strikes are occurring, and then down to the south where we had that clearing a little bit ago. That, if there is going to be the potential for any kind of tornado to form, that's the area that you would do it. Martin?
Yeah, so we're still talking more closely about what we're seeing with both of these cells, not just the one that's tornado warm, but also one that's just to the south of South Bend. So we'll talk about both of those first. Of course, got to get to the more important one with this one moving through parts of Berrien County. I'm going to turn on your velocity just so you can see that couplet, well, what the couplet would be. I'll turn off the lightning because Matt's just talked about what it is. But you can still see that clash of the green and the red there. Luckily, it does appear to be remaining pretty broad, so more than likely not seeing a tornado on the ground at this point in time, but still one or two of these radar scans, you can easily see this trying to spin itself back around. And we're talking with the National Weather Service. They're saying that the proximity to the lake is actually keeping this tornado from really forming itself. But if it does try to draw its way away from the lake, it could end up pulling itself together. So it's something they're going to maintain the tornado warning on for a good little bit, though. The hail threat, as Matt was talking about earlier, with that updraft kind of taking itself over, it's kind of lost a little bit of that hail for a lot of it. But again, we're still watching closely on this next cell, so I want to move it over toward a little bit further south, away from the tornado warning for right now. You can still see this next cell, got plenty of lightning in it, and also it's got a little bit of what's trying to pull a little rotation on it as well, but not expecting this to be, it's very, very broad and kind of a bit of a mess, honestly, with this next rotation. This is near Lakeville, just south of Mishawaka. We're hearing the rain here at the station in South Bend, Elkhart, Mishawaka. You're getting some of that heavy rainfall, maybe some hail toward parts of Mishawaka as well. But still watching both of these cells moving its way through. Again, with velocity, but you can still see a little bit of that storm trying to, what we call hook itself almost. And it's not really what we would call a hook echo as of yet, still just very elongated cell. You can see right here moving in from Lakeville. So a lot of these storms are like this, but all it takes is a little bit of that spin and it could try to rotate a little bit, maybe pop up another tornado warning. So Matt, what do you have on the latest on that current tornado warning storm?
Well, yeah, tornado warning storm, that goes until 5:15. And a couple of things that I wanted to point out is that, again, a severe thunderstorm warning has been extended back up here to the north. Tornado warning continues. That does include parts of Berrien Springs, but also back down here, that system that Martin was just looking at, right over Elkhart. Again, right now, the rotation isn't all that impressive. But like I said at 4 o'clock when we were first alerting you to that potential rotation or tornado warned storm, this is the next one that we're going to keep a very close eye on. And I want to show you one thing. Watch as I draw on this. Right over here towards South Bend, you'll see a cell actually get absorbed back in to our tornado warned storm. What that is saying is that the updraft in these two individual cells is dominating what is going on the radar. So we don't get a lot of severe weather over all of Michiana. We get pockets. And that is what's going on as you start to see that little piece of what would be a thunderstorm by itself gets absorbed back in to that stronger updraft. What I'm concerned about is the same thing happening away from the lake, as now we're starting to see that hail potential go up into Elkhart, Osceola, just to the east of Granger, because of a similar situation. This storm all by itself is going to be able to use all the ingredients and the energy that we were able to accumulate earlier today after that first line of storm. So again, nothing now, but give it about maybe 10 to 15 minutes as it works to the north and to the northeast. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of a severe thunderstorm warning, and if the rotation shows up, a tornado warning. But right now, that is the next cell that we want to keep an eye on. As you get back down here to the south, I think we do have some thunderstorms, but a lot of this is going to be absorbed by this stronger updraft. And right now, I'm kind of seeing two really distinct updrafts. Let's get back over to the track. And again, I want to update you on the very latest. You got snow at about 32 minutes. Barron Springs, we're now at about 54 minutes. Now, the tornado warning will officially expire in 15 minutes. That does not mean here in the First Alert Weather Center that our threat and our stress is going to expire. We are going to stay on this storm, as it has shown proof that it will cycle through, or could cycle through, another pickup in rotation and possible tornado. So even though now your name is on the list after the tornado warning officially expires, we are going to stay with that cell, both of them, that one and the other one that is just back behind me. And in fact, did you see what just had? So we just had another tornado warning extended, and
this one just dropped in.
Just dropped in. Interesting shape on this one. So I assume, being here, I can't really look at it too much. But based on what you're seeing there, Martin, is this an extension of this cell, or is it a whole new couplet?
So as of right now, they're really just issuing it as an extension. They're seeing it currently over Berrien Springs is what we're talking about as of this point in time with this new system. And we're actually looking at, I know this is called the debris tracker, but we also use this to figure out where hail cores are at. And you can see Berrien Springs, right now that hail core is over. You can see this little area of the yellowish area. That's where we're starting to see some more of that hail starting to form, and that's where the heaviest of the actual, what we call reflectivity is starting to pop up. So whenever you see something like this right here, moving through across parts of Michiana, we'll be seeing again, most of us actually seeing that hail as we head into that next little part. Looks like I just lost actually my Wheezy too. But again, talking more about this hail core. This is one of also the bigger threats we can't really stop talking about with that hail. We've already had reports of inch and a half size hail. And with this new tornado warning that has just been issued for parts of Berrien and Cass counties, this actually is maintaining 2-inch hail possibilities. So that 2-inch hail, baseball sized. That's, again, think about that. Hailstone coming down at a very quick speed can cause damage. In this new tornado warning, we actually now have where we're going to be expiring at 5:45. Is that correct, Matt?
That's correct. Yeah. So I was just looking. It is given that half second to go ahead and piece everything together. You can see the old warning here, and then the new warning picks up here and goes there. So that is going to be until 5:45 with that new tornado warning. Hail size, that's impressive. And I am not surprised by the amount of lightning strikes that we are seeing kind of centralized in this updraft. 2-inch size hail with this storm. So again, this tornado warning is an extension of the cell that we have been with going all the way back to about 3:45, 4 o'clock when we first had this out over the water, and now it's coming back into parts of Berrien and Cass County as a tornado warned storm. Broad circulation, but again, we want to make sure that we stay on top of this. I'm going to go ahead and get a track on here, and let me go ahead and save that, put this over here. And I want to do the new track with this tornado warning, as again, this is going to be kind of in the more immediate future with this new track. So again, this is going to start here and then work back up to the north and to the northeast, moving at about 30 to 35. So Berrien Springs in about 9 minutes or so with this new storm, with this new tornado warning. Bottom right-hand corner of your screen, Glenwood at about 39 minutes. Got it. Okay, so that is going to be our Elkhart view.
You take care of that, Matt. I'll actually take over from here. Again, we could actually want to pull up that Elkhart game. You can see this is that non-tornadic cell that we're watching very closely, but still seeing that hail possibility. You can see some dark clouds here and maybe the possibility of a little bit of lowering, but again, we're not seeing any of that rotation as of right now. I'll actually check just really quickly with this next system and just get a better idea what we're seeing on Wheezy too. So we can pull that up really quickly behind me. We actually take a look at that with this next system. So there's that Elkhart system. You're seeing that moving through, got some lightning, some heavy rain there, maybe some possibility possibility of hail. I'll actually check here real quickly to see if we are seeing any hail with this little system right here. So again, I'll pull up the debris tracker, but I know it's not exactly tracking any debris at this point in time. It's really just looking at it for hail sense. So could see maybe a little bit towards this part to north of Elkhart, see a little bit of that yellowing there, but not really super evident that we're seeing that possibility of hail. But regardless, very heavy rainfall for today as we get into this next system. You can see not exactly a ton of that rotation with this next system. So we're luckily not going to be causing, looking at this with as a very much danger as we are seeing the other system, which still talking about that with our currently with a lot of lightning. And I'll actually turn off the lightning really quickly, give you a better view. Still a very broad rotation with this tornado warning. I'll actually pull up the new tornado warnings again. Well, you can see both of these, the one that's soon to expire.
That was the old one.
Yeah, the soon to expire, and then the new one right here. This does have for parts of Berrien and a little bit of Cass County, which does include Dowagiac. So if you are in Dowagiac, you're under that tornado warning, make sure to find that safe space. I know it's a couple miles away. It's still in Berrien Springs, but just again, like Matt said, take a couple minutes, really just get into that safe space, get that plan set up for if you do start seeing. I know you got that new track set up, correct, Matt?
I got the new track set up, and I do want to go back as you were showing that live cam in Elkhart. Again, here in the First Alert Weather Center, a lot of tools at our disposal. One of the most important ones is what you just saw on your screen there. Based on what I was seeing, and it's starting to confirm it a little bit, there is some slight rotation in the atmosphere over Elkhart. I'm not saying that is a tornado warned storm. Let's go back to the live cam because again, if we have the tools, we're going to use them. It doesn't look as bad now, but it was very clear. If we can move this off to the right just a little bit. Yep, keep going, a little bit more over the lake. Keep going, a little bit more. And start to see that system, that thunderstorm as it exits to the, keep going, back over here. As that cell, again, there were some there, that right there. There it is. Right there. Go a little bit more, right there. That is your broad rotation. So when we say broad rotation, that is what it looks like. There's a giant pole in the way, but right here to the right, as I mentioned about 5 minutes ago, it is worth watching. The way this works, much better. Okay, so there's your clearing, and then of course over here, all this little cloud cover here, that is called scud, and we use the scud to get an idea on whether or not it is lifting, whether or not it's rotating, or in situations where a thunderstorm is starting to tighten up, it does both. It rotates and lifts, and that is the first red flag that we're starting to see rotation in the atmosphere. And all the velocity data is doing, our Doppler radar, all it's doing is picking up on the direction of the raindrops. And it's saying the raindrops are going one way and the other raindrops are going another. And we put those two together and get an idea on how fast, how tight that rotation is. Let's go back to it. Again, I spent 3 seconds or two, 20, 25 seconds talking about the storm. Get back to the track. So top left corner of your screen, 5:06, 15 minutes or so, 28 minutes back down here. This extends all the way out to Kalamazoo for the next hour. Remember, we were talking about Berrien Springs 45 minutes ago, saying you need to be in your safe place. You still need to be in your safe place, but that wasn't very long ago that we're trying to prepare down the line for some of these locations as it lifts off to the north and to the northeast. Outside of that tornado warned storm, you have some very impressive rainfall. We're talking half an inch to up to an inch of rainfall in portions of Elkhart, Osceola, Goshen at this hour with that individual cell, and of course back up here towards the north as well as this moves off to the north and to the northeast. So again, that tornado warning in effect until 5:45, or if that rotation starts to weaken, that warning will be dropped early, but at this point that has not been the case. So Martin, get an idea. Any more storm reports come in regarding what we have seen so far, any damage or even confirmation of, well, there it is. So that was the Michigan City. This is the photo that Josh showed me, and based on kind of what I'm seeing, that is inch and a half the size hail. This came out of Michigan City before that tornado warning was issued. We had it on our live cam with the rain and the hail coming down, and again, there is some of that proof that we do in fact have some hail that came down with those cells earlier. Martin?
Yeah, that hail right there will do some damage as well if you do see it coming down. Again, that severe criteria is about an inch size, close to about that quarter-sized hail. But that looks to be, again, closer to almost $half, maybe almost close to golf ball-sized hail. Of course, a little difficult with the hand there, but still going to be talking more about that rotation. We've been watching it very closely with that. Still very broad. You can see it almost linear. When you want to see that couplet and for the danger of a tornado, you want this to be much tighter. You want that red and the green to almost meet at a point, not really more of a line that we're seeing right now, but still, the reason why they're continuing this tornado warning is because if you notice, I'm going to pull this out. Actually, this is the new one, newest actually.
Yeah,
right?
just the sweep just
there is a little bit more of that. Actually, you can see almost trying to tilt itself out. If you actually want to go back just one frame,
yeah, I got it.
But again, you can still see next several minutes, actually, Matt can take over on this one. You can see it is trying to pull itself in because noticing it's been getting further away from the lake as we've been talking the past couple of minutes. And National Weather Service was saying if it does pull itself away from the lake, it could start getting into a better environment to cause that possibility of the tornado trying to reform itself back in. So, Matt, what do you have on the latest on that track? Have you been looking anything new lately?
Yeah, well, just in general, regarding what we were just talking about, in that it started off leaving Berrien Springs. Overall, I do expect this storm to increase in forward speed. We've seen that. It started off as kind of a slow crawl, 25, 30 miles per hour. I think based on what I'm seeing, we're up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour with this cell here. Now, we just got done kind of looking at the rotation on the live cam in Elkhart, and I want to go ahead quickly go right back down there and show you that what we were looking at is back up here. That is the next area that we were watching, and we were looking at that live cam. That is what we were seeing. That was that right there. That's that rotation. So again, we can only do so much in regards to radar and velocity and Doppler to actually have eyes on the threat using our first alert weather cams. That's it. So obviously Elkhart is here, and we're facing up to the north and to the northeast, right into the concerning part of this storm. So no tornado warning yet. No tornado warning yet, but I see something like this, and it's a big red flag that if we continue to see the sweeps come through showing more green right up against more red, I wouldn't be surprised that a tornado warning would be issued on this. But right now, I'd call it almost kind of broad, but that green sticking out like that is a good indication that the upper levels are rotating, and it's just a matter of organizing to bring that down to the ground. So let's get back over to that storm track again. I don't want to leave this off too long as we continue to try and prepare for what's to come. If you have friends or family that are on this list, it is worth a text message just so they know. We are trying to warn even one person about the threat for strong thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, and in this case, tornado warning. So if you can help us do that, just one or two people that you may know that might be under a tornado warning, a quick text or even a phone call if they are not driving, to give them the heads up if they are not hearing what is actually going on, that they do want to get into a safe place. Now, we've been on this cell for over an hour. When it first started, the concern was coming out of Chicago that some of these cells would be a little bit more individualized, and that is what happened with this one as it got away from the lake, started to see a little bit better rotation in the storm, indicating a tornado warning that is moving again to the northeast at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Now, I'm still looking at some of these boundaries. It is worth noting, you got Berrien and Cass County, this purple here, that is the actual warning. Let me go ahead and I'll just turn this off. A tornado warned storm isn't going to stop at the county line. So even though it does this, this, and this, there is still the opportunity for this tornado warned storm to work back up here to the north and to the northeast, even though that county line is right here and doesn't extend to the north. So we do have to prepare. That's why I say concentrate on the city list. This is how we prepare for a potential tornado. We have yet to have any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but with what we have seen in the velocity data and what you have seen right along with us in our First Alert Weather Center is the live images. Both couplets or both pieces of rotation in the atmosphere have been seen on one of our First Alert weather cameras to give you the first alert to get safe and be prepared. Again, the left side of your screen is that city list. Time now about 5:13 as this tornado warned storm works to the northeast. If that circulation, that rotation starts to fade away, the storm is still going to be there, and that is why a severe thunderstorm warning is still issued back up here to the north. It is worth a phone call, not a text, a phone call. If you have friends or family that are going to be traveling on I-94, or thinking about traveling home on I-94, these are some very strong thunderstorms. Some capable of rotation and tornadoes, others capable of 1 to 2 inch size hail, heavy downpours, reduced visibility, and obviously the potential for some localized flooding. And that includes I-94, but also some of our smaller roads as well, as this works off to the north and to the northeast. The good news is the silver lining is that time now is about 5:13. By 7, 8 o'clock tonight, we are done with the severe weather threat. And the last thing, and then I'll get over, send this on over to Martin, is I want to zoom this all the way out. We zoom this all the way out, and things are unfolding as expected, where you have the cold front back out here towards the west. Some things that we have been seeing, and over a week in the data continues to produce what we're expecting, which is potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms, if not a tornado warning in Michiana, but also back down here to the south, seeing more activity developing. Now, as I put this into motion, you can see the overall track on that is more to the east. This is all going to stay down to our south, but as I've done in the past, if you have friends or family that are going to be traveling this way to the south, just make sure they know, or you know, if you're going to be traveling this evening. Is that a water? Yeah. Thanks. That if you or friends or family are going to be traveling to the south, you are going to be running into a very similar situation to what we have in Michiana, which is going to be hail, lightning, very heavy rainfall, as well as some strong wind gusts in this next pocket. So let's go back over to Martin, get an idea of what is going on regarding that tornado warning storm.
Yeah, so I just want to show you the velocity, because we're starting to see, like we said earlier, as this thing pulls away from the lake, we could start seeing that more linear rotation trying to bend itself back into shape that we're looking at. So actually directly over Dowagiac right now, we're starting to see, I'm having this in motion because I want to show you how it's changed over time. You can see how it kind of wraps itself around a little bit. So we're looking at this thing trying to possibly bring itself back together and possibly maybe even drop a tornado in the next couple of minutes. Now, again, nothing's been confirmed so far. Don't want to note that. We have not had any confirmation, but we're starting to see these velocities, starting to see these hotter pinks right here.
I
I'll
think
actually stop this
you just
at
got
motion.
the latest. Weather Service just updated that latest tornado warning.
Yeah, so they've now issued it outside of our viewing area.
There you go. They extended it back up into back up to our north. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
No, of course. I mean, we're still talking about it. There it is right there. We can still see it moving its way out of Michiana, but still including right now parts of Cass County, including Dowagiac. So we're going back to this. You can see these hotter pinks right here. Those are higher velocities. This is what we call our inflow right here. This is where the storm pulls in its energy. So as it's pulling it in, it pulls in that updraft, which keeps the storm stable. If the storm stays stable, it stays active, which it currently is right now. So as we're looking at Dowagiac, we're starting to see this thing trying to curve itself back into shape. So it's definitely something we're watching pretty closely. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. Matt, what do you have right now with the latest on the new warnings?
Yeah, so the new warning was a tornado warning until 5:45. So we actually have two tornado warnings, the purple that you see here, that will expire at the same time. The one thing that I do want to note, remember earlier we were talking about that cell in Elkhart, that now has a severe thunderstorm warning on it. This big yellow box is associated with that cell that we saw on our first alert weather cam in Elkhart. And again, it is a big one in regards to just how severe, but also how far the severe weather is expected to go. And when we talk severe weather, strong winds above 60 miles per hour, inch-size hail or greater, as well as the potential for tornadoes. And that is, again, a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for parts of the area because of that cell that we're tracking. Just to kind of put the radar back up there and give you a look at exactly what we're seeing. The other thing I wanted to do, we'll do this right now, is look at the storm reports that have come in. Interesting enough is when we had that our camera, our first alert weather camera on the couplet, on that rotation, you could tell that there was some hail. These are all storm reports showing hail. Typically in this kind of situation, if it holds its strength, There's the hail report that we're just talking about out of Michigan City. Susan sending this one in. If you want to send your photos in, again, if you can do it safely, the easiest way to do it is through the First Alert Weather app. Download that app, have it already downloaded, and you can go ahead and send us exactly what you're seeing. This QR code, it isn't just so you can get a photo to us, it's so that we can connect the dots and get a better idea. This storm says this on the radar, and you are sending me photos of this. We put the two together to get an idea exactly how that picture is being painted in and across Michiana. So it's not just something to share, it's something to help. Any kind of reports, whether it is flooding, whether there's wind damage, hail, we'll take it. And that includes videos as well if you scan the QR code. Otherwise, if you want to go ahead and just email us, or go over on their social media platforms and do it there as well. Certainly helps to paint that picture. So let's go back over. There's a look at the latest radar. And again, we got the severe thunderstorm warning back up here towards the east and to the northeast. Still some more thunderstorms trailing back out here towards the west. And Martin, we've talked about this before. What I'm now concerned about is obviously the tornado warning back up here to the north. You got a severe thunderstorm warning with a lot of that lightning. Is the southern edge of this cell right here. Now the pocket of possible rotation is back up here to the north of Elkhart, but we got what's called a tail end Charlie, which is the tail end of these cells. They have a little bit better ingredients to work with and can go ahead and start spinning. So that is the next area. There's basically 1, 2, and 3.
If you want to pull up the Elkhart camera
most concerned
up
about
to Matt real quick, you can actually see.
Okay, so you got the Elkhart cam up. Again, certainly got the clearing out here. Oh, there it is. So this edge right here is the bottom edge of that storm. You can see how it tails off. So it's called tail and Charlie. But on these kind of circulations, you can get a couplet forming. So again, we get this concept that tornadoes have to do with rain, or that rain has to be in and around for tornadoes to form. That is not the case, especially here in Michiana in this kind of environment. And we don't need radar to keep an eye on it. We have an eye on it here in the First Alert Weather Center. Just kind of watching down here to the bottom part of your screen. That's why we have 2 meteorologists here in the First Alert Weather Center. Martin is over there working velocity, getting an idea on the tornado warning that's been issued. Then I'm over here just getting an eye on exactly what we're seeing, because once this threat passes this evening, we are going to be done. So about 5 minutes ago, this is just now coming into our First Alert Weather Center on the border of Three Oaks. This is, again, you're analyzing it right where I am. This looks more like a shelf cloud coming over through here, maybe some connection down here, but it could be the lighting as, again, the sun setting back behind me here, which would illuminate that part of the shelf cloud. What I'm looking for is lowering. What I'm looking for is confirmation that something is on the ground. So here's back to our live image, again in Elkhart. This is going to look ominous as that sun continues to set. The clouds are going to look even darker as that sun starts to set in the west. It's going to kind of flare up the darker aspects of these storms. Now, so when you look at the lightning, Martin, what we're seeing here is, again, kind of 3, I would say 2, maybe 3 updrafts trying to sustain or trying to maintain off to the north and to the northeast. The silver lining with this, the good news that I'm seeing, always like to bring good news when it's coming, is we're not redeveloping back down to the south, back down to the southwest. So this is the threat that I want you to stay with us for, because when it passes, we will give you the all clear. Unfortunately, we are not there yet. Martin, what are you seeing with this severe thunderstorm warning back down here, Cass County?
Well, the thing is, we're still watching, of course, the still rotation and also the hail that we're possibly seeing with this next system. So I actually want to pull it in really quickly just to actually give you an idea of where the system is first. You can see where this actual cell we're watching, seeing that plenty of lightning with this as well. If whether or not this is going to be dropping a tornado, it's going to bring hail, it's going to bring rain, it's going to bring lightning. So make sure to be in that safe space regardless. A hailstone can break through a window, cause damage, and possibly get that glass in your eye. So make sure to be extra safe today as these cells do make their way through. So again, you see that hailstone, very large, sending from Susan. Thank you very much for sending that in. Again, send in your photos as well if you have them already. And again, not just for clicks. It helps us understand what's been going on with this system, and we can help them better predict on what this system will do later in the future. So I want to go back to that tornado warned storm. We're still talking about it as of right now, and I want to pull up that velocity. I know we talked about it not too long ago, so I will pull on what we're calling our severe warnings and also a little bit of of are what we're seeing with the lightning. Take those off because you can't really see anything with how much lightning is in this system. You actually see still, there's that tight little couplet right there. Not as tight as you would want for a tornado to really be forming, but you can still see it. A little bit of a curve. It's not as flat as it was before. If you remember seeing it, it was almost a perfect line. Not so much now with that green meeting with the red. Now they have dropped off the hail size just a little bit. It was 2 inches before, still 1.5 inches. Still severe hail. It's not exactly calling it all clear, but it is saying it's lesser than before. I'm noticing those pinks, only a little bit of that still remaining. Those brighter greens, not exactly there either. So we're still watching the rotation, but it has lost a little bit of its oomph so far. And again, see that picture right there. If we want to go back to the velocity really quickly, just so we can get a better idea. So that tornado warning still going on for Cass County until 5:45. So about another 20 minutes or so, we'll be seeing this rolling through. I'll take it back to your radar just to get a better idea. And I'll also put it in motion to give you a better idea on where it's heading and where it has been already. I'm going to see that lightning as well making its way
northeast.
Still making its way out of there.
35.
Now, here's the good thing. It's mostly past Dowagiac. Cassopolis looks like you're going to be not seeing this cell anymore, but still plenty of lightning near the county line of Cass County as it makes its way out of the viewing area. We're still under that tornado warning as of right now. So, Matt, you're looking at the velocity. You have the latest tracks. What do you have so far now?
Yeah, so my concern is that, so you got 51. Let me go ahead and, so there's 51 right in there. This passed right over 51. And my concern is you kind of see it spike that last right around 5 to 5:20. We do have a social media team that is back in the newsroom. If you guys could reach out and get a sense, it is possible that this stayed elevated and worked over these locations. That includes M51 that's right there. But it is also possible that if we're going to see any kind of wind damage out of this, whether it has to do with a tornado or not, that is the velocity data that would indicate potential damage the way this couplet comes together. Obviously, it starts to relax and gets a little bit more broad, but that time frame right there is concerning to me with what I'm seeing with the deep reds and the greens. Parts of Glenwood, I imagine to our southwest, that rotation is going to be working in a much weaker state, working right over us. But that right there is a bit concerning. So if you are safe and you can, send us reports, whether damage reports, hail reports, even wind reports. That'll help confirm. Now, up until this point, it's all been radar indicated. It's just that when we've been going back all the way to about 4 o'clock with what I've been seeing in the data, that right there has the potential that if anything is going to form or has formed, that's a signature right there that could indicate something was on the ground.
Matt, I want to show you, actually pull up really quickly, if you can, pull up your debris tracker, the latest one. We actually do have a bit of a drop in the debris. I actually do want to show you this really quickly. This is right near, actually this is the latest one. What do you, Matt, come take a look at this. Do you actually think
I
this,
can see it.
There could be something actually forming possibly right here, because this is directly on that rotation. And it has had a very, past 2 frames have actually tightened up a little bit, so we could actually be seeing something trying to form as of right now as it makes its way into Decatur. So if you're in Decatur, you're in Antwerp, get in your safe space. We could be seeing something finally actually starting to form with this next system as we've been tracking our debris tracker. As Matt was saying earlier, it could have possibly tried to pick something up, and we may be actually seeing something. Again, nothing is confirmed as of right now, but we want you to be extra careful. You can see this little dot right here. So take off the lightning really quickly to give you a better view of what we're seeing. There's that drop in what we call the debris tracker. And when you start seeing these greens, maybe start seeing some blues, that could be the possibility that we're starting to see some debris with this system as it's starting to really spin itself back up. So I'll go back to your velocity really quickly, just again reconfirm where this is actually at. 'Cause this is matching up perfectly, Matt. If you are looking at this specific system, seeing this moving its way through toward Decatur. So make sure to be extra careful. You're starting to see also some of these brighter reds, these pink colors right here. Again, pulling in more of that energy right now with this system. We can start seeing some more of this this inflow pulling its way through toward Valonia as we head into about 5:30 or so. So we're still under this tornado warning as of this point in time. I'll put back the severe warning just again. There's that box right there. This goes for the next 15 minutes. And okay, so hey, the source is observed. So they have actually, I believe we do actually have confirmed
So Josh just asked
confirmation.
if we could confirm it, and now it is observed.
This is actually, so again, Matt, if you want to take over for this, we do now have confirmation there is a tornado on the ground toward parts of Decatur.
Yep, so let me get the track back up here, and that's why I stopped. That's why you heard me stop, you heard me pause, because what I saw on the radar, wanted to, again, first alert you to the possibility of a tornado on the ground. Josh just walked in here to ask me whether or not it was confirmed. And as we were having that discussion, it was confirmed by the National Weather Service that we do have a tornado on the ground. Now, with that confirmation, you can see the color of our warning has changed based on that. And it's twofold. I saw it in the velocity data. We also saw it with the debris. The third thing is this is now taking on more of a classic supercell shape, or at least a classic rotating thunderstorm type shape, where you're getting not only the rain and the hail out ahead of it, but you're starting to see a little inflow back onto the southern fringe of this. And that is right where that couplet is located. If there was any point now that you should have been taking this seriously already. But again, we got it confirmed. Observed tornado on the ground moving through Michiana on this first alert weather day, and we're here to first alert you to the safest place in your home and also where that tornado is tracking. This is the same couplet that we were watching over Lake Michigan, saying that storm is rotating and we're going to stay right here to first alert every person that is in its path to stay safe. This is not a time for pictures. This is not a time for videos. This is time that if your city is on this list over the next 20 to 25 minutes to get to a safe place. And I mentioned it earlier, it bears repeating. A safe place is the number of walls between you and the outside. You want to get in the center of your house. Typically a bathroom is going to be in the center of your house. If you have a basement, get down to the basement. If you have time and you can prepare with a helmet, a lot of times when we talk fatalities, when we talk injuries, it's not the wind, it's the debris. And if you can protect your head from any kind of debris with this observed tornado, that will go a long way in keeping you safe. Again, time now 5:30 on this Tuesday. We are tracking a tornado warning, an observed tornado, no longer radar indicated, moving through portions of Michiana. Glenwood at about 12 minutes or so. And again, 12 minutes is more than enough time to go ahead and get into a safe place. Also, if you have friends or family that are in these cities, give them a quick call or text to let them know you're under a tornado warning. Chances are the tornado warning went off on the cell phone, but you can't be warned enough about impending danger. So if you do have friends or family, just to look out for them. Well, we're also starting to see some thunderstorms in and across the area. This is the one that has our concern, and you may have heard it in my voice and my cadence. That velocity data did not look promising for a non-tornado event. It looked like it was coming together, and it has as an observed tornado. Again, this is moving off to the north and to the northeast, and with the velocity data, there's no doubt about it. Now, I do want to take a quick second and zoom this out. This is Berrien and Cass County. We are not under a tornado warning. South Bend, Elkhart, Osceola, Plymouth, Knox. I know that goes without saying, but if you are in those locations wondering if a tornado is going to hit your location, you are in the clear for right now. Goshen, Warsaw, even into Elkhart and back up here to the north and to the northeast. That's a severe thunderstorm warning where we're starting to see, again, that classic shape. And Martin, you might agree with me on this one. Saving grace has to do, the saving grace of this has to do with this storm forming to the south, kind of robbing more ingredients from that main storm. I think we'd be talking about a very serious area. Berrien Springs. That's the cell. That is how you get a tornado on the ground with this lowering from the main system. You got this wider cloud deck and then the lowering coming down on the southern end. None of this is actually hitting the ground. But you see this in Berrien Springs, and as we've been first alerting you to, down the line, it doesn't take much to go from a lowering to a tornado. Martin?
Yeah, so we still want to talk closely about what we've been seeing with this last system. I want to get back to the cell. So if you pull up Wheezy 2 really quickly. Again, yeah, there it is. Still maintaining that little area of what we call lower coefficient. That's the specific thing for this. But it basically just tells you where the debris is. It also gets an idea of the hail that we're seeing. So again, it's starting to get a little, the latest radar actually kind of pulls it apart a little bit. So it's a good sign, but still, observed tornado is still there. And I actually want to pull up really quickly your velocity just to overlay what we've been seeing with this system as we get into the next several minutes. So still right now, tornado warning in effect for Cass County and now Van Buren County. It's out of Van Buren is out of our viewing area, but while Cass County is still under that tornado warning, we're going to be on the air letting you know about this system. So you start seeing still a little bit of those higher velocities, what we call them, basically higher wind speeds with this next little system right here. So again, with the you still see these grains. I'm actually going to take off this overlay really quickly so we can get a better view of this system over the next couple of minutes. So there we can actually see much better. You can see very high velocities, regardless of if there's a tornado close to here. It would be probably closer to right here with that tornado, but those are very high wind speeds. These are wind speeds possibly reaching over 60, 70 miles an hour. These are very bright levels of pink, so that's going very quickly away from the radar, which is out toward North Webster. Very fast moving winds with this inflow right here, which means it could try to spin it up yet again. But again, it's moving its way out of Michiana, but Cass County still under that tornado warning as of right now. The one in Van Buren still goes until 5:45, and I believe this one is Cass County also continues until 5:45 as well. Yeah. So still watching the observed tornado, watching this. This is a very broad rotation. You can see how far away the moving toward the radar and away from it. But again, that tornado, if it's still there, I'm actually going to pull up the debris tracker one more time before I send it back over to Matt.
That's
you
fine.
Actually can see. I'm going to take off that lightning again because, again, plenty of lightning with this system. So a lot of this yellow that you're seeing here, that's hail. We get very classic supercell action with this hail core moving in right here. And just by looking at it, that would be where the tornado would be, right about here, and not really seeing much as of right now. We could probably wait until the next radar sweep, but as of right now, not really seeing much of what we call the debris signature moving through as of right now, which is a good thing. We don't want to see that debris signature. If it does start falling apart, that is a very good thing. We don't want to see that debris signature anymore, but still plenty of hail as this thing moves into Van Buren County. So I see you're putting up a new track right now, Matt, and actually the latest radar sweep just hit you. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get a better idea on exactly how this situation is unfolding, or how the velocity data and that confirmed tornado is looking, both on velocity data but also in the storm track. What we're running into is that the tornado warning officially is back out here to the south, back down here Van Buren County, and then down here to the south and to the southeast. But we can see the couplet. We can actually see where that tornado could be located, and it's been confirmed that possibly is located. Now the velocity data, I'm going to take this track off just for 1 second and then put the velocity data back on because it allows us kind of to see through the storm a little bit better and see how things are rotating. What is really starting to stick out to me is right up here, out ahead and removed from this is the old couplet. And we're starting to see possibly a new one form out here towards the east as it works to the northeast. So again, all about just trying to get an idea on exactly how things are unfolding, and this has started to show up, I'd say, the last 2 scans or so. So that puts us last 6 minutes starting to see another kind of a max between the two, which is going to be your inflow, your outflow, and then of course possibility of a lowering and a tornado to the northeast. That being said, and Martin, you can kind of agree with me on this one as well. Berrien and Cass County, for the looks of it, we're all clear from any tornado threat. As I'm seeing this start to get a little bit more broad, and this work up more to the north and to the northeast into Van Buren County. But again, with what we saw earlier, when we were talking, I was looking at the velocity data, I would not be surprised if we had some damage or at least some confirmation of that tornado. We did get confirmation that there was a tornado on the ground back out here to the south and to the southwest. Hopefully now, the last thing that I want to hear is any kind of damage reports coming in from that confirmed tornado on the ground. Martin?
Yeah, so I had my own radar pulled out a little bit. We can actually see a better view of it, of everything. So there's still that tornado warning in parts of Cass County now. This may actually get lifted in the next couple of minutes now that the cell itself has made its way mostly into Van Buren County.
Yep.
So that could end up getting dropped pretty soon. We may turn it to regular programming in just a little bit, but it all depends on how these cells really play out over the next couple of minutes. I'm actually looking at what you're seeing right now. We have a new tornado warning outside of our viewing area. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Matt will reach on that, but we're really looking at what's left behind. Not a lot. It's honestly looking very optimistic once this is actually passed. This tornado, the system that had the tornado in it kind of tapped out the moisture of this entire system. And looking at the large scale, as we actually see, I'm actually going to pull it out even further across most of Michiana. Not exactly a whole lot to be seen when it comes to a lot of these storms. And still, there's that cold front right there making its way just across the state line. And once that passes, we're in the clear completely when it comes to that severe threat once that cold front does pass. So we actually have ourselves a new tornado warning, is that right, just to our north?
Yeah, and it shouldn't come as a surprise that the cell that I am seeing out there right now with the new warned storm, again, this is moving to the north and to the northeast. This is the one that we were watching in Elkhart. Remember when we had our first alert weather cam on Elkhart? We had that couplet, we had that lowering where I said, this is the next one to watch. Give it about 30 minutes or so. And it's now got a tornado warning on it. It's just moving up to the north and to the northeast. Again, Elkhart back down here, but this is where it started. Martin and I have been using our cameras to keep an eye on these rotating storms. And again, about an hour ago or so, I said this is the next one to watch. Obviously, it's moved off to the north and to the northeast in that purple polygon, indicating now we do have some rotation and a tornado warning on this system. So again, watch this as it moves through, but there is a reason why we try to be the first to alert you to some of these threats, whether it is tornado or hail, wind, or rain in and across Michiana. Using all the tools at our disposal to hopefully give you a first alert before a warning is actually issued here in the First Alert Weather Center. So again, wider picture, Martin was talking about somewhat being in the clear. And yeah, all the storms that you see back down here to the south are staying to the south and moving more to the east. The line back here, that is the actual cold front. And if I put this into motion, not a lot of lightning. There may be a few lightning strikes, but this is not building as quickly or in the same way that this cell has over the last hour to hour and a half. I mean, we've been with you since 4 o'clock this afternoon tracking this tornado. Even before it got a warning on it, we had it on our Michigan City cam over Lake Michigan, and we followed it before that warning popped up in and across portions of Michiana. So again, the wider picture is that we're starting to quiet things down. The threat isn't zero, but it's better now than what it was at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when we were first ramping this system up. So again, time now about 5:40. Martin, what do you got?
Well, as of right now, I was just now looking to see what the National Weather Service was talking about in the next couple of minutes, and they are going to allow the severe tornado warning in Cass County to expire. That expires in 5 minutes at 5:45, so about 4 minutes and 15 seconds from now, this will remove out of Cass County. It's because, well, as we were talking about it earlier, it's now lifted its way out of our area. You can see most of that polygon is now almost completely clear, and places that have already seen that, your temperatures dropped, has been sapped of that energy, so not going to be seeing any more threat of storms with that. But still, if you have any friends, family over toward Kalamazoo, I'm actually going to adjust this again to give you a better view of these tornadic supercells moving through. As of right now, I'll actually turn off also the lightning, because again, there's a lot of lightning with this, which is still one of those threats. Lightning can hit you even inside the house. If you're standing close trying to get a look at your front door, that lightning can still hit you over there. So keep a close eye out on that. But again, the tornado warning in toward Cass County is going to be allowed to expire in the next 3.5 minutes as we get into around that 5:45 time frame. But still, friends, family, toward Kalamazoo, Three Rivers, White Pigeon, Sturgis, Cologne, you'll be seeing that moving through as we get into the next couple of minutes. These tornadic supercells, all severe warned, tornado warned as well over the next couple of minutes. A lot of these still remaining even after that 5:45 time frame. And I see you're already looking at a new little couplet there, Matt, toward Wajid.
I was just taking us back, and this is the couplet that we were talking about before it came down that it was confirmed this is what we had on the radar. So check out the time. That's 5:18. This was earlier today. As that threat passes, there's 51. We may hear of some damage coming in from this radar image right here, from this velocity. This is when, again, Martin and I, you may have heard it in our voice, that this looks different than just an ordinary lowering. This is we got it confirmed, a tornado on the ground. Again, that's at 5:18. I take you all the way into where we are right now as we close out the severe weather threat. We'll zoom this out to give you that wider picture. Still a couple of areas that we're keeping a very close eye on. Over Lake Michigan, once again, I'll turn the lightning back on. We are looking at a thunderstorm, but the ingredients are not the same as what they were 90 minutes ago. And once again, this is out over water in Michigan City. The potential could be working up to the north and to the northeast with St. Joe. St. Joe, we haven't escaped it either. We had hail on our live cams. And one of the reasons why we couldn't talk more about St. Joe and the hail is because of the tornado warning that was stemming from a system down to the south. This is from Michigan City. This is also from the same cell that eventually had a tornado warning attached to it, and from the same cell that worked off to the north and to the northeast with that radar image. This is all connected. And that is what we do here in the First Alert Weather Center, is we connect the dots early so we can give you the warning first to prepare. Now, again, time now about 5:43. Just another thunderstorm. I wouldn't call it garden variety, but another thunderstorm doesn't have a lot of rotation with it. May start to see a stronger updraft that would give us some hail threat with that one. I'll keep an eye on it. Otherwise, the storms, again, starting to move out of the area. Time now about 5:43, and it's a bit of a relief to sit here and move this map around and not have a strong or even tornadic thunderstorm on our map. Now, LaGrange, we just went through. Let me go back just a little bit. Just had a system, not a severe thunderstorm or even a thunderstorm, but a good dousing of water move to our east on 20. So I zoom this map all the way back out. Again, time now about 5:44, and officially this tornado warning will drop at about 5:45 as we continue to keep our eyes on it. But one of the things here in the First Alert Weather Center, so long as there's a tornado warning for even one person in Michiana, we're going to be right here on WNDU to make sure that one person can get the information they need to stay safe. I'm not going to say that we're completely done with the severe weather threat. It's not zero, but it is looking better now than what it did about an hour ago. We're going to continue to talk with our newsroom to get a better idea on exactly how we're doing with damage. Hopefully we don't have any damage with this situation, and if we do, we're going to be the first to alert it to you, kind of what has come from this system as it moves out of Michiana. About an hour and a half ago, we were talking about it moving into Michiana. It is now moving out. Severe weather threat. It's not zero, but for the time being, nothing in Knox, Plymouth, Winnemac, Rochester, Warsaw, Goshen, Elkhart, Osceola, South Bend, LaPorte, into St. Joe. We're still going to have some thunderstorms. That part is going to remain true, but the tornado threat is starting to diminish. And as we start to work away from the severe weather threat, Martin, different ways that we can help build a better picture on what happened today in Michiana is what you have on your screen there.
Yeah, that's right. We're still talking about what we could be helping us figure out the pictures, because we also are a channel to the National Weather Service, so where they can actually find out where the damage was at, because they will more than likely send a survey team out to look to see and can fully confirm if there was a tornado that we were looking at with this system in the next couple of days. They'll be more than likely sending out that survey team. So if you do have any damage reports, scan this QR code right here. You can get it and send in those photos to us so we can either figure out ourselves or send that data over to the National Weather Service and help them as well figure out to help everybody else with that possibility of damage out there for the rest of our day today. As again, if you do have any of those damage reports, hail, wind damage, and if you did safely, I say, possibly see that tornado, maybe send that in as well. But again, if you did take any of these pictures, like this right here, fantastic picture taken, hopefully safely done in Berrien Springs by Kathy. She submitted it through our website, so you can see that very defined. And that was that system that later on did have itself a confirmed tornado with it as well, right, Matt?
Yeah, and that image right there kind of spells exactly what we were looking for, what we saw in the radar, and one of the reasons we were able to jump on the possible confirmation of a tornado having to do with Martin over there talking about the debris, a possible debris ball with it, or at least some debris up in the air. Pictures that you have sent in, but also our first alert weather cams giving us a live image of the two cells that we were most concerned about. One, of course, being the tornadic one that came over Lake Michigan, that we had Michigan City, and we followed all through Berrien and Cass County, and the other one in Elkhart. Remember, we were looking at parts of the storm in Elkhart that is now producing a tornado, or at least a tornado warning, back up here towards Sturgis, as we're following it live on the air. The other part of this, always have to ask, what's next? Here's a look at future track at 6 o'clock as I take this deeper into the night. That is a sight, as meteorologists, we want to see, and I'm sure you want to see at home as well. As the sun starts to set, we clear everything back out. Now, the skies are going to be clear enough that if you step outside this evening, if I go a little bit deeper into the night, so this is at 9 o'clock at night, and you look off towards your east, you may see some of the lightning strikes into Michigan and Ohio with this entire system. That does not mean that the thunderstorms are coming back, but they're going to be moving away. Same situation if you look up towards your north across Lake Michigan. You may start to see some thunderstorms, but where we're going to be monitoring for any additional storms, and I'm not seeing it in the data, is to our south and to our southwest. Most of that is done. So I take you through the overnight hours by 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, back into some clear skies. We get into tomorrow morning for the morning commute, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, temperatures in the mid-50s with mostly clear skies in and across the area. Not expecting much in the way of rainfall to start the day. It's not going to be as muggy either, but temperatures are going to be warming up. So 55s across the board for the morning commute by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, more of the mid-70s. Tomorrow, actually expected to be warmer than today. And one of the reasons why we first alerted you to Tuesday, I mentioned last week, circle Tuesday for the potential of strong storms, is the moisture. The amount of moisture in the atmosphere is going to be different on Wednesday than what we had today. But again, temperatures in the mid-70s, that's Wednesday at 1 p.m. As we go into the evening hours, outside risk of some thunderstorms trying to develop. One of the trends that I've been seeing, if you joined us last night at 11 o'clock, we were talking about the first alert weather forecast. Well, starting to show up in the data. Wednesday is actually looking drier than Thursday based on kind of what we're seeing in some of the data. So we've lowered our rain chances on Wednesday and just kind of moved them on to Thursday. But rain chances, not severe thunderstorm chances. First alert weather day, that's going to expire for today. I do not anticipate us having a first alert weather day on Wednesday or even on Thursday. So this is going to go through our Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. You can see the top part of the screen, and we get our last bit of moisture coming through. That's Thursday at 8 a.m. Early in the morning. This is when temperatures start to go down. So we've been first alerting you to Mother's Day weekend may have some cooler temperatures and some showers. This is it. This is not necessarily showers, but the cooler air starting to work back into Michiana as we go into your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm still expecting it to be a pleasant weekend. Anything compared to today is a pleasant weekend, but it is going to be a little bit cooler in and across the area. So again, that's kind of a look at that quick forecast. Time now about 5:50. We'll go back, and Martin, if you want to go ahead and revisit what's going on, not only with the severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, and the like, but if you want to take us back to kind of what's going on the radar, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, we're still watching the two cells as of right now. One of them is pretty intense as of right now, but not showing any real signs of showing that true radar indication of a tornado on the ground. But the other one, the one that was the Elkhart cell, it might be showing some possible signs of a tornado on the ground. I'm looking at that radar right there, Matt. You seeing that hook really being very pronounced just to the west of Sturgis. So I'm actually going to pull this up and I'll show you specifically what we're looking at for these two systems. And now I want to say, first of all, neither of these actually have any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but there is signs that there could be a little bit here. So there's that one that was moving through Berrien Springs. A lot of these higher velocities, really seeing that moving through. And also this one, that was that Elkhart cell right there. Not as intense with the winds, but when I actually change it over to the debris tracker, and I'm going to zoom in on this Elkhart cell as well and take off the lightning because there's plenty of it still. You see plenty of that lightning. there's that drop in the debris signature. There could be the possibility that there is a tornado on the ground right there. Maybe. There is nothing that confirmed as of this point in time. Earlier we had the mix of the confirmation with the National Weather Service. They were saying that there is a confirmation of that tornado on the ground, but not so much here. But when you do look at where that little couplet is, where is actually the debris couplet, you're actually also seeing the same thing with that actual rotation. There it is right there. So again, there could be the possibility of a tornado on the ground here. This is associated with a tornado warning. I do want to add, which as of right now, still not anything confirmed when it comes to actually being observed. Never mind, actually we just now got it. It was confirmed. So this is just to the north of Natawa, again, if I believe I'm hoping saying that correctly, but again, this is actually confirmed right now, an observed tornado just to the north of our viewing area, just to the north of Elkhart County. I'll zoom out and give you a better view of it. Actually, just to the north of LaGrange County, this system has been moving pretty quickly. So there's this one right here, just to the north of Sturgis. That's just to the north of LaGrange. So this right here, which the latest run actually just moved through with the most current sweep of our radar. You can see that tight couplet right there. And I'll actually change it over to the radar to see if we can see a better defined couplet of that tornado. It doesn't look like it, but you can still see plenty of lightning with this right here. This is definitely a rain-wrapped tornado that's going to be moving through with this one. Again, this is not in Michiana, so to speak, but it's just to our north. So you may have friends or family living just to the north outside of our viewing area. So I'll turn off the lightning. I'll turn back on the velocity just to give you a better view of what we're seeing for this next system, which does involve the possibility of this tornado actually being on the ground, which again, it is observed just near Cologne. I believe I'm spelling that correctly. That's the way you sell it. But again, still talking more about this system just to our north. This is not in Michiana, but with it being a observed tornado and how quickly the winds are moving, these yellows right here are actually extremely fast winds, which could be bringing in some of that possibility of wind threat. We have been first learning about that wind threat, but so let's get ourselves away from this system, talk about what we're seeing right now with Michiana as a whole. And most of us are sitting pretty quiet as of this point in time. I'll put it in motion just to give you a better view. So most of Michiana is doing fine, but we're still watching this little cell, those thunderstorms right off of Lake Michigan. Now, here's the good thing. This is places that have already seen some of those storms, but with the lake providing the moisture, we could see some invigoration with this cell. I know you're looking at it right now, correct, Matt?
That's right. Yeah, I was just kind of, it's funny how you just repeat what we did at about 4 o'clock today, which is you start to see that cell over Lake Michigan, you pull up the velocity data, you look for the greens and the reds, and then you turn your live cam. Earlier today, when we turned our live cam to this direction, it was very clear that there was a lowering and the cell was rotating. Time now 5:54, and I'm not seeing the same kind of rotation. There is some trying to go right now, but I find it hard to believe that we're going to see a similar situation. I've actually got that live cam up over on our Michigan City cam. Now, first alerting you to, again, to what it actually looks like out there. The Michigan City cam is showing something completely different off in this direction as we follow Lake Michigan back up here towards the north. So again, I want to make sure that we also reemphasize we're in the clear right now in terms of tornado warnings. Let me go ahead and pull this back up. And we do not have any of the yellow or purple boxes in and across portions of Michiana at this hour. That was not always the case. At one point, we had multiple tornado warnings for the same cell. One that we were tracking has moved out of the area, but still, that is the one that we had on our Elkhart cam just about an hour, maybe an hour and a half ago as this complex moves off to the north and to the northeast. The other thing that I wanted to quickly note that if you are doing some traveling or if you have friends or family that are thinking about it, head towards Indianapolis or on 31, this is another beast of a complex. We have 3 or 4 individual cells starting to fire off, and they have been. That if you have friends or family that already hit the road and they're traveling to Indianapolis, they may want to stop and pull over and give it about an hour for a lot of this to pass through. Because you start coming down 31 and you're going to hit 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 very strong thunderstorms. In fact, when I turn on the severe warnings, one does have a tornado warning on it. In fact, we'll turn the lightning off and also turn the live radar off. That is not worth driving through. So again, if you have friends or family that are thinking about leaving, you may want to give them a quick call and let them know what we are seeing on the radar, because as you head south out of Michiana, things once again get very hairy. And this is all moving to the east, not the north, not to the northeast. They're moving to the east. So this is not going to impact Michiana like the storms were earlier today, but it is worth noting that if you're doing some traveling or friends and family are traveling, they are going to run into some very strong thunderstorms and a tornadic thunderstorm as well. This is not a good time for that, especially for the evening commute. Right around 6 o'clock to have a tornado warned storm and a severe thunderstorm warning issued in and across those locations. Let's bring it back over towards what we have on the radar. And we'll go ahead and give you a sense of kind of what we're seeing right now. This is basically where our eyes are going to be in the first alert weather center as this moves up to the north and to the northeast. The potential is still there for another round of thunderstorms within here, and we'll keep an eye on whether or not we get any kind of rotation. Martin?
Yeah, so we were talking about those tornadic supercells. We're still seeing some of our own, not to our south, but to our north, which I want to start off on your velocity to show you the two that we're watching closely. This is the one heading toward Kalamazoo. This one right here has got some pretty intense winds with it. Now, here's the thing with it. We don't have any confirmation of any tornado that's been on the ground with this cell, and there is a bit of a gap in between the going away from the radar and going towards the radar, which is a good thing. You want to have there to be a gap if you want to avoid that tornadic supercell really forming the tornado. So you can still see that shade of red, which is the general movement of the storm. So there's a bit of that wide gap there. But I also do want to mention toward Cologne, it is actually seeing right now the observed tornado. We have seen evidence of that observed tornado on the ground just to the north of Natola, and actually this is just to the north of LaGrange County. So this is out of our viewing area, yes, but if you do have friends or family in toward this region right here, you are going to be watching that very closely, as we have seen, again, this is observed. This is the same tag that we had earlier with that previous system that did have a tornado possibly in toward parts of Cass County as it was exiting our viewing area. This is the same tag right here. Again, this is going to go until 6:30, so in the next half hour. So if you have any friends or family, they have already extended it out exactly to our north. But as Matt's been saying, we are going to be luckily mostly in the clear here in Michiana. Now, the cold front hasn't passed us just yet. And I want to note that cold front has not passed us. We're still watching one little cell currently make its way towards St. Joseph in the next little bit. There's that cell right there. It's making its way over Michigan City. I'll pull up the Michigan City cameras and the St. Joe camera in just a second, but if you want to talk about what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's not the all clear, but it's a much better looking situation than what we had when we first joined you at 4 o'clock. So again, this is a look at kind of what we're going to be following here in the First Alert Weather Center. Time now about 5:59. We may get a severe thunderstorm warning on the cell there, and if we do, we'll of course be first alerting you to the very latest. So right now, no tornado warnings. They have all expired in and across Michiana. You look at your screen there, and you can see that of the severe weather potential, that is the storm that we're going to keep a close eye on. Once again, I just don't like see I-94 is going to be a mess as this storm works off to the north and to the northeast. Again, no tornado warning on it, but we'll of course be keeping a close eye on it as well. So that concludes no tornado warnings. As of right now. Martin and I here in the First Alert Weather Center will keep a very close eye on it. We've been doing that since 4 o'clock. We'll send it on over to Josh and Lauren.
Okay, you guys have been talking for literally 90 minutes or just about, so covering this First Alert Weather Day. And so with that, Lauren Moss here along with Joshua Short. We are continuing that First Alert Weather coverage. We want to go back to our friends in just a second here. Obviously, we have a First Alert Weather Day, but the main threat is out as of right now. No tornado threats, no tornado warnings of any kind in our area right now. However, we have a team headed north of the border right now toward the Decatur area, I believe, in Cass County as well, just to see what's happening on the ground there, as we have had several reports of tornadoes there, but nothing confirmed just yet. Observed from the National Weather Service, but nothing confirmed on the ground. We'll keep you posted on that as we slowly turn to politics if we can, because today is also the primary day.
That's right. It's a busy Tuesday. In fact, our George Mallet, he's been live in Indianapolis. He's covering the governor's race for us.
Yeah, in fact, he spoke with Mike Braun in the 5 o'clock hour. We tried to get to him, but obviously we couldn't because we had some stuff to get to here involving First Alert Weather. If we can check in with George now. How's it down there? We see the sun is out at least.
Yeah, it's just a matter of priorities, isn't it? Sometimes the weather has to take precedence.